Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be interviewing a legend in the world of stand-up comedy. I've been trying to get her on the show for a long time and it's finally going to happen. Jann Karam. Jann Karam, funny lady, going all the way back to the 80s. I'm going to have her on the show today, talk about her stand-up career, her acting career. She comes from an improv background, and I'm very obsessed with improv comedians as much as I am with stand-up. Even though I haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm doing improv comedy, I'm interested in it, and I want to do it, and I want to get inside the head of somebody who's done stand-up, who's done improv as well as stand-up. And she studied with the best. I mean, legends. I'm not going to spoil it for you until the interview starts, but she's done all that stuff. She also did a really funny episode of Seinfeld. I'm going to ask her about that. And it's going to be pretty friggin' sweet. So yeah, here is my interview with Jann Karam.
Hi.
My name is Tommy.
That's right. Hi, Tommy. How's it going?
Oh, it is going great. Finally, we're doing this.
I know. I had a second in my day. Anyway, are we on the air? Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
Okay, great.
Oh, this is such an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure.
I was a kid watching you on all those brick wall comedy shows back in the day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been on every brick wall ever invented, ever made, every brick wall ever laid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to do stand up in front of the family, and we had a brick wall fireplace area that I used to do it at.
Mm.
So that was my beginning.
You've done stand up before, right? You do stand up, don't you?
For 13 years, I've done it on and off.
Okay.
And
how's it going?
Right now, it's been on hiatus the last 2 years because I had to move up here to Reading to take care of my mom and help her with the rent. There's no show business out here, but I'm going to be moving to LA pretty soon.
Don't they have a couple clubs over there? Or?
They got showcases here and stuff, but
you could start a little coffee shop place once a week.
I wish I could. It's very conservative out here, and my comedy is very politically incorrect. You know.
Oh, I see.
You know.
Yeah, but just to get up and you could just talk about different things, that's not that.
Yeah. I mean,
I just always think, just anything to keep mining for stuff because, every circumstance presents, different challenges, and then those challenges help your voice grow. So it's not limited to, I just this, and therefore I can't do that. But not to tell, that's what I think. Because ideally, I love the perfect crowd, and it's, it just depends on what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah. Well, even though this is not, in front of a live audience, this has been my means of being funny the last 2 years.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, your creative outlet, right? And keeping your chops going and all that.
Right. And as soon as I get to LA, I'll be able to, go back up in front of audiences again, But so going back to the beginning, I mean, did you know early on that you wanted to be in show business?
Well, I don't know about if I called it show business, but I wish I would have figured that part out sooner because I'm not that savvy or crafty or cunning or strategical in that manner, in that realm. But I always knew that when I was 5, I won the twist contest and the dance contest. It was just me and friends and cousins, but and just teasing. But I just always really wanted to have I always had something to say. Stuff that didn't make sense that really bothered me, and I felt like I was always needed a witness or validation or somebody to kind of go echo or mirror, yeah, I know, right? And I think I drove my parents crazy, even though they're funny, but trying to get them to understand things or see why something was, inconsistent or baffling or not fair or whatever. And then, so then I just always, that was kind of like driving me more than, a career per se,
Mm-hmm.
But, and then I was always like, I loved being creative and I loved writing, and it was kind of my saving grace or my outlet or my survival.
Mm-hmm.
How I survived, whatever.
Absolutely. Who were...
If I could make a joke out of it or make it funny or find the irony, it made sense, it like soothed my soul. If I could reason something that was unreasonable,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Who are some of the comedians that you grew up watching that influenced you?
Well, I guess the Carol Burnett Show and Johnny Carson, and there's Jonathan Winters, and Joan Rivers, saw her, Phyllis Diller, watched them, like on late night, and then throughout, I just mostly watch things on TV, but also, creating my own sort of kind of world of funny and skits in college, and we didn't have a theater department. It was a small. So for the pep rallies, I'd like write little sketches and skits or whatever, and then just throw stuff together,
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the kind of stuff I did at home. I was always creating stuff because I had no friends, and I was bullied a lot in school, and that was my creative outlet, like comedy and movies. That was just that was my thing, And I went through a period in my early 20s where I was embarrassed by that part of my life in my past because I felt like it kind of hindered me socially, So then I started going out and being around people, and after a few years, I was like, people suck. I'm just going to be who I am,
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I had my car crash that set me straight,
Oh, what do you mean it set you straight?
Well, I was drinking a lot, and I was instead of creating and trying to pursue the business, I was just drinking and having wild sex and being an idiot, basically.
Oh.
And I had a life-changing experience.
Wow. Well, and you're okay, and nobody died, or
no. Well, they would argue I did die, but then came back. I was in a coma for 30 days.
Oh my gosh! When was this?
In January of 2015.
Okay, so not that long ago.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday.
Wow, that must be really traumatic.
It was, but me and my family, we've worked through it, and we're getting through it, But it's something that stays with you long after it happens,
Yeah. But what do you mean? So you're sober, and it got you sober, sort of a thing?
Yeah, because if I drink, my liver will bleed. I got a really bad liver from it.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I should have stopped. I should have stopped drinking, long before that and stuff. But
Yeah.
It was something that just carried on and stuff. I can drink.
Right. Well, when you're in it, it's kind of hard to get out of it, and sometimes it takes those kinds of things. People can tell you till they're blue in the face or try to get you to stop, or you could think it, but I think until I guess something like that happens, right?
Right.
It's hard for most people to just kind of logically step away.
Right. And I can drink a little bit of red wine if I wanted to, but I choose not to.
Yeah.
Because my brother's drinking is pretty bad right now, and he's doing his best. He's doing his best to get rid of it, And so I just don't want to. I don't want to do that no more. I want to live. I want to create. I want to be successful.
Right. You want to be your best self, huh?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
So you...
Well...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I was going to say, well, it's amazing that you're able to... You got through it and you're, staying sober and all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm very, very...
And you could be a positive influence for others.
Mm-hmm. I try to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you studied at Second City.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. What year?
At Improv in Phoenix, where I started doing stand-up in college, and then we would had an improv group, and then I studied I went to Chicago to do stand-up and study at Second City, and then I worked at a restaurant, and then also doing gigs at night, and then I moved to New York. So, but I did study with Del Close and a couple other people.
Oh, I heard Del Close was very intimidating and scary.
Yeah, but I guess I was young enough that it was I didn't take it that hard, and he seemed nice enough to me. Seemed like a really intelligent guy that was like, do this, do that, but it felt creative. I really liked it, so I felt it fine about it. I didn't feel... I studied somewhere else with this Jeff Michalski, I think his name is.
Huh.
I should get his name right. It's they have the Fanatic Salon. What's his name? I'm looking it up. Yeah, Michalski.
Michalski, huh?
Yeah, he had his own thing. So I studied took classes there. So I did a lot of improv. Yeah, but I never was in an improv group after that, or I just kind of wanted to study it for the fun or freedom of it, but I didn't really try to get in the Second City cast or anything.
Well, was anybody in your class that ended up joining the cast?
Not that I remember, no. It was classes that I was taking, so you didn't get involved too much in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the regulars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was focused on doing stand-up, so I was taking it just for my training, not... I met other comedians, but I was just there for about 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
And then I went to New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
My sights were set on stand-up. Everything that I did was to help me be a better stand-up.
Yeah, in this second half of my stand-up career, I'm definitely contemplating taking improv classes when I get out there. They had some in the Bay Area and stuff, but I didn't hear that much favorable feedback about them and stuff. But I definitely want to try it. I did a little bit of improv in acting classes in high school, and it's something I'm definitely considering. But when you got out to New York,
I think it's a good outlet too. Anything that helps you find your voice, and frees you up, frees your whatever, your creative mind, your ability to move better or think on your feet or whatever, articulate. I think all that stuff, anything is worthwhile, worth doing.
Mm-hmm. Of course. When you got to New York, is that when you studied with Sanford Meisner?
Well, I studied with Richard Pinter, who was from the Neighborhood Playhouse, and I didn't. I studied with him for 2 years, and then when I came out to LA, that's when I studied with Sandy and stuff. And I went to Bequia, the West Indies, and for a month in the summer, and. How many of us? 30 or not? I don't know, but we stayed in bungalows, and it was just exactly what you think it would be, just on an island, having class every day, and then rehearsing in the afternoon, and then I got my scuba diving license during that time. We had time off, but the people that screwed around, didn't really get much out of it, but the people that really made it, and then some, got a lot out of it, and that was great because no phones or faxes, you get a fax, but no one could call you, no email, so.
Yeah.
But, really couldn't be interrupted or be on your, iPad or anything.
Yeah.
It was really like being away from it all. And then when I got back, then you were chosen to participate in the 2-year class. And then I wrote scenes and things that the class would perform, and he liked that. And then we had a lab, so I went on to study with him a few more years before he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
For me, it always resonated in that it was living in the moment, being truthful, get out of your head, and all the way he teaches is exactly how I work. I don't want someone telling me, like, okay, so you really want this, and anyway, it was a just different way that other acting classes and still now don't work for me, and it's just a way that doing that, repetition exercises and going to the door or having an independent activity that's meaningful to you and urgent is like all those exercises, so that you're not thinking about the dialogue and you're not in your head about how to say it. It's coming out of the moment and reacting off the person in the moment, how they behave off their behavior.
Yeah, the method, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
What? The method?
The method, right?
No, I think the method is, isn't that Stanislavski, or wait, hold on.
Strasberg.
Strasberg is the method, and this is a repetition, but it's not living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So the method is not Sandy, but they all came from the same teacher, the Stanislavski. And they all were offshoots, Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler and him. Mm-hmm. And they all, yeah. So have you studied acting?
I've taken acting classes, through the years since high school, and I'll tell you, my freshman year, I was so shy, so painfully shy. My teacher wanted to fail me the first semester, but he gave me a second chance, and I improved. I improved by the end of that first semester, and then second semester, I was great. And then senior year, I came back to him to take his advanced acting class both semesters. He was like, "Oh my God, you're a totally different person than you were freshman year."
Wow.
Yeah, I just came out of my shell. I became very outgoing by sophomore year, and that helped.
That's so great.
Yeah, and one of my greatest trainings was lying to girls.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learned to do that? What do you mean lying to them? About what?
Oh, when you're a kid and you're trying to get a date and stuff, and you try to impress them. Oh yeah, I'm into that. Stuff like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I think everybody should take an acting class for a while because it really strips you down. And
well, I go with Marlon Brando's old saying that we act every day.
He studied with Sandy.
Yes, he did. He says we act every day to save our lives. Every day we're acting, for something, And he used all these examples. Like, you're working for a company, right? And your boss is a complete moron, and you have to agree with everything he says, otherwise you're going to get fired and you're not going to get that promotion. And he used that as an example of, we act every day. And I agree with him,
Yeah. The urgency. There's always urgency, right?
Right.
I mean, and every day, like you said, to save your life. So that's what Sandy teaches is the urgency in the acting. He always said, like, not to me, because I was like, okay. But he would say to the people that weren't prepared or didn't really, he said, too casual. He goes, too casual, sit down. And then he'd look at Jimmy, his partner, who was his assistant there, and he would shake his head like enough. He wouldn't even tolerate it if it was too casual. Sit down. But he didn't use words like steaks, steaks, which is fine, but that just wasn't his. He didn't use those kind of generic terminology that we hear a lot. What are the stakes?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what do you want? The urgency, the immediacy. And like, well, I got to go to the airport because if I don't get there, I'm going to miss my flight. It's like, okay, so that's, and, it has to be really urgent. That's like something he would say is too casual.
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay my rent or I'll get kicked out. Okay, but,
Yeah.
Anyway. So those are the kind of like actors' choices that you make for the role so that it becomes, deep scene so that it's not casual.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so go ahead.
So what year did you officially start doing stand-up?
Well, I don't like to say the years, but it was sometime in the 80s.
Okay, sometime in the 80s. I'm assuming it's the early 80s.
Whatever. Yeah.
But where did you start?
I started when I was in college in Tempe, Arizona. In Superior, Arizona.
In Tempe, Arizona. And
yeah.
When you got to New York...
ASU.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
When I lived in Arizona very briefly in 2007, and I took a comedy class out there. They were like putting pressure on everybody to be clean and stuff, and I was just like, see ya by the end of the month. I was just like, they were just it's just like it wasn't me and my style. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was taking it at the comedy spot.
Who was telling you to be clean?
Her name was Deanne Kincaid.
Oh, okay. Oh, in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. That's weird. Why would was it a club, you said?
It was the comedy spot.
Oh. Well, maybe for their room they wanted clean?
Yeah, they did. But she was encouraging like everybody to be clean at all times. She's like, "Come on, don't you want to play a cruise ship?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, but you could. I mean, I don't know. I'm all for, hey, if you want jobs, then what's the problem? You could be dirty, and then you could have stuff where it's clean. It just depends on if you want to limit your voice to certain, things, specifics. Like, I'm just going to be dirty, or I want to say what I want to say, and too bad. I'm going to go somewhere else then.
Right.
I mean, there's that choice, but I just don't see how it, serves you unless you just wanted that's all you're going to do, and that's what you're going to be true to.
Right. I mean,
there are other things to say? I feel like I'm lecturing or telling you what to do.
No, you're not.
There are other things to say that aren't dirty that you could say in that circumstance and just go, oh, okay, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to find other material or to work on other stuff, and then I'll have my dirty stuff and my clean stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of times, don't tell me, like, oh, and you can be really dirty, or there was times when it was like they want someone dirty, and it's like, I don't really have it, but I would try to have some stuff that was, like, could still work, but I'm not vulgar, or, I never been, and that's not what I wanted to do, so it could be that you don't want to do that either.
I do have clean stuff that I do, but I think it stinks, and that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like a growing process. You just never stop writing and rewriting and learning and growing, and your voice is always evolving. And sometimes you can't find a way to make something work, and then a few years later you found a missing piece to it. It's like that bit never really worked, but I don't know what it is, and then all of a sudden you'll get the setup later, and it's like, oh, that's what it is, or you didn't really find the funny in it, but it's still something that maybe has some legs or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So when you got to New York, though, who was there?
see Richard Belzer, Seinfeld, Carol Leifer, Bill Maher, Louis C.K., Colin Quinn, Chris Rock,
Susie Essman,
Joy Behar. She's been there for a while.
Ileana Douglas.
Brett Butler.
Yeah.
Well,
Rudner. Ileana Douglas.
They're kind of already on their way and leaving, or they were in town. Larry David was there. Yeah.
Dom Irera.
Yep. Yeah.
I know Ileana Douglas was there for a while.
That's where I met Fred Stoller. Gilbert Gottfried. Like I said, they've kind of been there, been established, been kind of on their way, headlining, moving, coming to LA. Who else? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said, I know Ileana Douglas did stand up in New York for a little bit.
Okay, I didn't meet her, no. I think that was after.
Yeah, she only did it for like a year or so and stuff. And she actually described in an interview one of her bits, and I actually saw someone doing that bit elsewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
You mean even her material? It wasn't her own.
It was her own material. I do believe it because it was a Raging Bull bit because she dated Scorsese for years. And yeah, someone just took it from her. This was like 10 years later.
Oh, I see.
I'm trying to get her on the podcast just so I could let her know that happened.
Yeah, did you try to get a hold of her?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with her manager for months, and it might happen.
Oh.
It might happen.
Okay.
She's got a busy schedule right now.
Yeah.
But
I know, it's hard.
So, did you know in the beginning, like, what your act was going to be?
No. I still don't know what it's going to be.
I remember...
I don't know. I don't know.
I remember you had this bit. Oh my God! This joke. It still cracks me up every time I think about it. It was about you used to work at a supermarket and you got the job because you had a degree and your dad had connections.
Yeah. Right. Well, because what was it? It was three things. What was the other one? My dad had connections. I had a college degree, something, and my dad had connections. I think it was three things, but that's funny. I wonder I guess you saw that on Evening at the Improv?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't do that one anymore.
Yeah, that's one of your old bits, but I remember it so well.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cool.
Now, not to compare.
I did kind of subtle, not, over the top, hit you over the head kind of joke.
Yeah, that's the kind.
I flip them in kind of stuff. That just happened.
Yeah, I do that kind of stuff, and not to compare, but it reminds me of what Vicky Barbalak does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
More subtle, but she had to be a little more bigger than life for America's Got Talent.
Yeah, the funny thing is. This past year, I auditioned for the third time, right? And yeah, and I didn't get it, obviously. And I was like,
when was that? My friend, I think a friend of mine just did it on Monday.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So
did you do it?
I auditioned first, not too long after my accident. And then I did a video audition a year later because they didn't come to the Bay Area. And then last year I went down to the Bay Area to audition for the third time. And I was thinking, this is going to be it. This is going to be the summer of Kovac. But instead it was the summer of Barbalak.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
Thank you.
Not in your act?
I'm going to start, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you can keep trying. I know people that try it every year, huh?
Honestly, I have no desire to do it a fourth time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't even have the desire to do it once. No, like, competition. I don't. Like, they asked me to do that Last Comic Standing. And
right.
It was like Norm and...
Kathleen Madigan.
No, was a judge. Norm? No, Norm wasn't a judge. Who was it?
Jay Moore?
Two people I knew. No, it wasn't. I don't think it made it to the...
oh, I know what it is.
Natasha Ruggiero.
Natasha Leggero, yeah.
Leggero. They said it wrong?
Yeah. It was stand-up NBC, right?
Yeah, and then but they tasked me to come to the next scene, go at night, 8 o'clock the next night. I said, no, I passed. You know, I just didn't want to be, because he was telling me, yeah, I love you, but I need to see your classics. And I was like, yeah, I miss classic Jann. And I was just like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't like this situation of being, you know, because you had 3 minutes, and it was gross.
Yeah.
So I just said, and when they asked me how did it feel, and I go, you know, it was great. I hope I don't get it. Please don't pick me. And then they did. And then I said, no, I'm not going to want to do it. I know. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
It's not, just because I didn't really, it's not for me. It makes me, it just feels icky, gross.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But I know it's helped a lot of people with their careers. And
did you ever Did you ever audition for Star Search?
Did I? No, but there was one later called that he did in Vegas called, I don't know, Star something.
Uh-huh.
And I did that one. And I was, I think, up against, so the audience voted, and it was still with Ed McMahon.
Right.
I can't remember. Yeah, and George Slaughter produced it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, George Slaughter produced my one-woman show that it's on YouTube now.
Oh, nice.
So, Reclining Nude on La Cienega. Well, we finished it, and waiting for someone to buy it, like, you know, whoever, Hulu or Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
I just put it up on YouTube, so you can watch it on YouTube. It's 2,500 views and counting.
Oh, I'm one of your subscribers, so I will definitely check it out.
I know. I was like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's getting what do you call it? Eyeballs.
It's getting views,
I'm like a grassroots kind of a person, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I just like things happen organically. So,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. It doesn't always work out that way, but I like it that way.
Mm-hmm. Since we're not naming years, I assume you moved to LA in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Did you?
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's just, I don't know. It's stressful.
Did you showcase for Mitzi Shore at the Comedy Store?
I did not. I never did. No.
Huh.
Yeah. I just didn't. I went to the Improv. Jerry Seinfeld. I was in New York. We went to Columbus Avenue, that restaurant in Columbus, it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And Bud and Alex were there. So Jerry Seinfeld introduced me to Bud, and he said, you really got to put her on when she comes out to LA. And so Bud, you know, so then when I went there, I already had an introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I became a regular at the Improv, and I knew that there was, you know, trouble or conflict, work one or the other. So I just stayed there. I felt more at home, and my New York comic friends were there, and it just felt more like I only had gone to the store a couple of times, but I wasn't really teaching. I preferred the Improv.
Wow, you're the second comic I've interviewed that didn't showcase for Mitzi.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Because then I would have to make a choice, right? And which club I was going to work at. And I felt right at home at the Improv because of New York and the New York comics, and it felt like it was more my kind of not to say my kind of comedy, but it just felt face. I mean, I know some people that didn't.
Yeah, you know Larry Reeb?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one. He never lived in L.A., but he came down to visit, and he went to watch some shows at the Comedy Store a couple times, but he never had a desire to audition there.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I know there's
right.
three successful comedians that Mitzi didn't pass: Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman, and Louis C.K., and that's just profound, you know.
Oh, yeah. Right, it is. Well, I don't know. I could sort of see why she wouldn't pass Jerry, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess there's no rhyme or reason. Only because he's more not subtle or traditional, but
He's his own guy.
he's a what? A clean guy?
He's his own guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they all are. Everyone seems, most comedians are kind of, well, not most. But anyway, okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't think Dana Carvey showcased there either.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know.
Yeah, I don't know if he did. Did the first time you did the Tonight Show, did Johnny call you over?
Well, he didn't, but what happened is I found out because Macaulay told me that they only call you over when there's 30 seconds or a minute to fill,
mm-hmm.
and that's when they call you over, and everybody says, oh, it's because he loved you, so and it's not that he didn't. It wasn't that. It's just that Macaulay said he would have called me over the lady before me ran long, and the show ran long, so I did it twice, but I did get the okay and a wink, which is a big deal, and he did talk to me before, and he told me that they just, have fun, and if the audience could do what you do, they would be up here, so don't even worry about it. I was like, okay, thanks. I got bumped the first time, then the second time he came up to me and said, I'm so glad that you're back. And then the next time I did the show, he said, oh, I'm happy you're back. And then I got the okay sign and the thumbs up.
Wow.
The okay and the wink. The okay and a wink. And that's the big deal. That's being called over.
Yeah. There's a comedian. My
friend's writing the bio about him, so I know all the inside stuff about him.
Wow.
Go ahead. What?
There's a comedian. I know you know him. I'm not a big fan of his material, and I was watching his Tonight Show debut on YouTube. I did not laugh until Johnny did not call him over to the couch.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's someone who's not funny, or?
In my opinion, he is. I'm sure to other people he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you never know how the TV set is going to translate. It's its own beast.
Yeah.
Right? It's one thing to do a nightclub set, but then to do it on television, because it's so unnatural to walk out there and go, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I just, cab brought me here, and to have it sound, there's always that icebreaker moment, and just really being relaxed enough and natural. I think that's not so easy to do in a TV set.
Mm-hmm. Especially since, they invite you back, every 6 weeks, and you got to come up with a new 6 minutes every time. It's stressful,
Yeah. I know, like Letterman and Shandling, Gary Shandling, love him. He inspired me a lot by his looseness and personality and self-effacing humor. But anyway, he did it. It's hard to come up with all that material, that work, that's strong every time you do it.
Or unless you're a guy like Argus Hamilton, who's like a one-liner machine. He's always writing daily.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know him. I mean, I know him. I know of him.
Yeah.
Met him a few times, but I don't know his too much about him, his work ethic, or
Oh, yeah.
material.
He's dedicated. He posts probably about 20 one-liners a day on Facebook and Twitter.
So you study a lot of comedians, huh? You watch a lot of comedy and
watch a lot of comedy.
Careers.
I'm just so curious, especially about the 80s comedy boom, because that was just so amazing of how it emerged, from the mid 70s to the 80s, just how, it was something that was different from how comedy was in the old days of Jack Benny and vaudeville and all that,
Uh-huh.
It's just amazing to me,
Yeah. How it's all changed, you mean, or evolved, or
how it's changed, how it's evolved, how it's
grown, how it's
just everything about it. It's just phenomenal, And the podcast world, really changed it for me because there wasn't much talked about or written about it until the podcast world came around and all the comedians are doing podcasts talking about it. It's just
right.
It's just insane.
I know. I love hearing all the podcasts, all the stories, and so many people are doing comedy now. Everyone's doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Stand up. Yeah.
How did you get so lucky into being in the 13th annual Young Comedian Special?
Well, I guess I've been honing my act and, working a lot. And then I met Dennis Miller and worked with him. And he came to San Francisco, I think. And then they asked me to showcase. And so I had the showcase because he was hosting and Brillstein was producing it. So I had a showcase for them. And then I was selected. So I had a good set, and I didn't know like I would end up being such a historical, event. It ended up being this great thing that David Spade and Rob Schneider was on. Did you read that Fred's book, 5 Minutes Till, about the Young Comedian Special, or hear about it?
Not yet. I haven't read the book, but I do know about the special, obviously.
Okay. Well, he wrote a book about it because Drake Sather and Warren Thomas both passed away.
Yeah. Yeah, Warren passed away.
Kind of a drama in itself, the story of it.
Yeah, Warren died a year before I started stand-up, and all the Bay Area comics just loved him because that's where he was from,
Yeah, I know. Everybody really aspired to be him or were inspired by him. They loved his delivery, his voice, his style, everything. I know.
Did Dennis try to get...
He was a good guy. He was really supportive, and, we were friends. I went to his wedding. Go ahead. Yeah.
Did Dennis try to get you on Saturday Night Live like he did with everyone else after that?
Well, I don't know. I know, and I tried, and I had Norm Macdonald said he was going to help me. David Spade said he was going to help me. I made videos, like character reels.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote sketches. I tried, but I couldn't. Actually, somebody said I was 30, and then the guy from Brillstein, Ray Rio, and I don't mind saying his name, he said, it's never going to happen for you, Jann. Saturday Night Live, it's never going to happen for you, Jann. You're too old. So that was after Young Comedians and later on.
You know what I would have said?
That's a pretty brutal thing to say, and you can't say that thing now.
No.
I'm sorry?
I said, you know what I would have said? I would have said, then I guess I'll start my own sketch comedy show, and it'll be more successful than Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah. Right. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
I don't know what I said to him, but I don't think, years later, cut to, a man would maybe think twice about saying something like that, and that's that ageism and, Leslie Jones
Yeah.
So when she got on, and so stuff like that's creepy. It's just creepy.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
Well, yeah, you do. As a woman, you hate that.
As a man who loves women, I hate ageism.
No, I know. But if you had more of those kinds of things, and those were the limitations, and that was the reality that was unfair, and that was beyond like, I can have anything I want if I persevere. It's like, well, not if something like that is in your way.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of prejudice or inequality thing is in your way. Some kind of belief that women are too old, but the guys could be 40s, in their 40s, 30s, and be new cast members. But the women, no. Anyway, not to sound bitter, but that was the reality that I had to deal with.
Yeah, you would have been perfect because, you got that background of improv. You would have been great for that.
Yeah, right. But I tried, definitely tried. And as much as I really gave it I really tried, so.
Did that special lead to anything good?
What special?
The young comedians?
Oh, yeah. Well, it opened doors and things. Yeah, for sure. It got me notoriety, and it was a stamp of approval. And now, looking back, it's a kind of a classic, as they say. Everyone says that was the best young comedian special. The 13th annual was the best one. That's what people say about it. That's what Judd Apatow told me. That was the best one. He wished he'd been on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he recently said that to me. So, yeah, it's something, definitely a feather in my cap, something I'm proud to be a part of, have been part of, selected for. And so, yeah, it led, I don't know what it led to, but it's like, what do you call it? The whole career, not just one thing leads to another. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not like, oh yeah, because of that I got this. Because I'm still working, but I'm not famous. But I've been able to do what I wanted to do, which is to have a voice, to write my own original stuff and not get stuck in something I don't want to do. Not that I would have minded a sitcom, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Did you ever get?
I guess if anything, it's all made me able to, define and strengthen my own comedy voice. So go ahead.
Yeah. Did you ever get your own HBO or Showtime special?
No, I did not, because they said I did the young comedian. So I don't know. None of that made sense.
That's weird.
Sure, but whatever. Yeah, but it's like, it's like you go through the disappointments and then you just keep going,
Mm-hmm. You wrote you acted in a very funny episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
The threesome episode.
The switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. The menage a trois.
The menage a trois. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
What?
How was that experience?
That was great. I loved it. It was so much fun, and it was really exciting to audition, and and then I went to the movies because there was no cell phone, and then I got out of the movie. It was like Lethal Weapon 3, or I don't know what it was, and then there was a message on my machine that you have to be in the lot at the CBS Studios, Radford at 9 in the morning, and then you booked the part. And I was like, oh, wow. So we ran home and got ready to go. It happened real quickly.
The jury could...
It was like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then finally I go, forget it, I'm going to a movie. I'm not considered wait, It's been my third time auditioning for them.
Oh. So,
yeah.
So it was...
But this part was right, because it was the comedian who says, that's laugh, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so did Jerry what?
Did Jerry? He tried to get you on the show from the very beginning.
Yeah, because I had auditioned a couple other times. Yeah. So they did bring me in, he and Larry. And in fact, I was in Jerry's stand-up. It's called Jerry Seinfeld Stand-Up Confidential on HBO.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's just like a small, I get dressed up like a green, and then I'm taking a shower, and I got to look that up. I still have a Polaroid of that. That
special was one of two that I could watch without parental supervision when I was a little kid.
Oh, okay.
The other was Emo Phillips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I love Emo.
I've met Emo.
From Chicago. I met him and Judy Tenuta and also Ira Novos, who's still a friend and plays the piano. But I met them in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met Emo. He came to the Bay Area to do a show just before I moved, and he was a sweet guy. We got a couple pictures together that are pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very sweet, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then you wrote and starred in an episode of Dr. Katz.
I didn't write it. I was in it, but I didn't write it.
Okay.
Well, oh, wait. Hold on a second. Yes, it's my material. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write the episodes that I wrote. You know, all the comics, they did their own stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. That was like a huge honor. I was excited to do that.
Yeah, Jonathan Katz, he seems very loyal to his fellow comics.
Yeah, right. And then since they used comedians, you know, it was a perfect format for that, to bring on comics, you know, that to do their material. And then to animate it, I think it was genius. It was a great show. He's really known for that and beloved. That was fun.
Yeah, they did a parody of it on Family Guy.
It made me too fat. I was like, why'd they make... And the guy goes, yeah, I don't know. The producer goes, I don't know why she drew you like that. And he goes, she usually gets it right. It's like, I don't know. She made me like kind of like a little pudgy, and my hair was weird, so... Whatever. That's the only thing I don't like is my animated self.
Maybe you'd be drawn better on The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. What were you saying? Sorry if I interrupted.
Oh, they did a parody of Dr. Katz on Family Guy, where I think they had Jonathan in there to do his voice, obviously, and Peter Griffin is like his patient, and he says to him, "Why are you shaking?" And he's like, "It appears I'm having a seizure." Yeah.
I didn't see that. When was that one on?
That was old, like maybe 12 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. So you're like a giant comedy fan, huh?
I'm a huge comedy fan, yes.
Yeah. I love comedy fans. You know more about it than I do. I just like stay focused on what I'm doing and what's like on the periphery, but I don't really get... I mean, when I first started, I guess I study. I mean, no, I watch and study. It's not bad. It's just that, you know, you get so involved in your own career that, you know, you know a lot. That's great. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream. I'm not too far along from, you know, focusing on my career, and then just, you know, my knowledge is my knowledge, you know.
But that's what makes you good at your show, because you have to know, you know, you got to know a lot to be able to. You can't say, so. By the way, are you a comedian? It says something here. You're a comedian. Oh, okay.
I know. I don't get those guys at all.
Yeah. No, I know. It's like, hey, do your homework if you're going to have a show, right? Do some preparation here.
Yeah.
You invested a little.
Yeah. You wrote and directed a short film called Under the Big Moo Moo.
Yeah. Did you see it? It's on YouTube, too. It's on my channel. Please subscribe, JannKaram.com. But not...
I haven't seen it yet, no.
That's the first one you come to, because I got to merge the Earthlink
YouTube
channel with the Gmail And then you had to create a new one, and then, because now it had to be Gmail in order to put up new content or whatever. They can't merge the two without uploading. Like, if you look for Dr. Katz, it's going to be on my old channel, and then my Reclining Nude is on the new channel.
So what?
For any techies out there, let me know how to fix it. Okay.
So what's it about?
Oh, it's about the mother, daughter seeks the universal conflict or dilemma of seeking motherly approval, love and approval. So mom comes to visit me at the weekend, and just how there's the arguments and everything, but beneath it all is love, and then so that's called Under the Big Moo-Moo. You're kind of always under the big moo-moo. Moo-moo. And I did that like in '97. I had a deal at Castle Rock, and they said, well, we'll give you money, like a holding deal, and you go make the film, but you can have an office here. But it was really hard because we used, 35 millimeter film, and we were kind of under their umbrella, but we had to do kind of our own things. I got a producer, and it took a while, and he was going to use it as a pilot, for a sitcom, kind of. But it was it was single camera. It was a short film that won awards in festivals and showed in a lot of festivals. And, but I think it was not ahead of its time. Like, they're doing more like slices of life, a day in the life of examining a relationship. They do that more now. Single camera, and they were looking for more things like Friends and Seinfeld and multicam stuff. When I did it, as far as for TV.
Did you?
So I always say I was ahead of my time with that. It was ahead of its time. Like in terms of single cam shows, like now they have single camera, not the multi-camera.
Yeah.
Like, things on Showtime or HBO.
Modern Family.
Say what?
Modern Family. They do single camera.
Not so much Modern Family because that's not really like filmic, It's more sitcom-y. It's more like, like a short film. Like, have you seen Smilf?
No.
Okay, it's on Showtime. But anyway, I can't. But anyway, just like not so sitcom-y, let's just say. It's more of a little short film that could be made into a series, but and it wasn't the right. Anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was proud of that and so proud of it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you have
It's a big deal too, because everybody goes, no studio's going to help you with your short film. And I sent it to Glenn Padnick at Castle Rock, and he said, well, what if I give you holding deal money to make this instead of a holding deal? Because they would, holding deal, they would give money to a comedian just to hold them so they don't take another offer, so they could develop a show around them. So he said, instead of giving you the money, let's put it towards making the film. But it wasn't enough, because you couldn't pay the actors, you couldn't pay and to basically go around begging for everything for free, and that just took a long time. It wasn't like, because if it was legit, it would have cost maybe, $1 million to make it, but instead I had to do it on $50,000 plus no salary.
Did you get the Castle Rock deal because of the Seinfeld connection?
No, not at all. It was because Glenn Padnick had known me from stand-up, and he told my agent at William Morris that he wanted to do a deal with me because he liked me. But that wasn't pursued, so then I just said, well, I'm going to send him the script. And he loved the script and said, and said that's when he made the offer. I just said, is there anything you can do to help? I wrote the script, and like I said, everyone said, you can't get or you can't get a studio, Castle Rock, who had produced Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn Tadnick was the guy. They're not going to give you money for a short film. And then I was like, see, that's why you can't take no for an answer, and that's why you got to find your own way of doing things, because...
Exactly.
Because people say, oh, no, the cliche is always another way to do it, but you never know what the rules are. There are no rules.
Mm-hmm. No rules. And this is over...
That was an exciting day, but that didn't also go... I think by the time he got it, he's been at CBS, and the guy at the time passed, or whatever. Like, they love to say passed. And then, and so then I just submitted it for festival. And it's just like another notch on my belt. I guess that's what it is a bunch of notches on your belt.
I'm curious.
It leads to a belt buckle.
That's good.
Okay, I just thought of it. All
How
right.
did you get Sean Whalen involved?
Oh, I think he auditioned, or they submitted, or something.
He's a funny guy.
I know, I loved him. I haven't seen him, I think, since then.
Yeah, he does a lot of horror stuff.
Actually, Rosie O'Donnell was in it, but the scene that we shot, she was like a snotty, cosmetic lady, salesperson, and the woman who was originally cast, she just came off like a drunk, and she just, it was like from her audition to actually being on set.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare, and so Glenn Tadnick says, you can't, she looks like your mom's there for an AA meeting. You said you can't use the scene, you got to recast, and then they were going to shut it down, it's like, and then the guy, Jeff Scott, who was the production head of, thank God for him, because he agreed to take on the project. Like Glenn said to him, hey, can we do this? He was like the, PM or the production manager for Seinfeld. So he said, yeah, we can do this, but it has to, he goes, I'm on page 1, and it's like $150,000. We have to do this. Obviously, it's like, I was kind of independent. So he said yes. Anyway, he said, you can't shut down, Jen. If you shut down, that's it. You cannot recover. So keep going. And so then we cast the lady that's in it now. And she just, we couldn't shut down production. We just had to reschedule. And then when she was on the set, the next day or the day, that afternoon, or, But it was like all those things where, it's just kind of crazy and crunch time, and you have to persevere.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary. And my parents helped, too. For 2 weeks, they were on set being extras or helping with the crew, and because it's really difficult, especially when everybody's volunteering and no one's getting paid. If someone gets sick or quits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's that story.
Do you have any upcoming shows you'd like to plug?
No, but I'm supposed to be. I think Dana's going to be booking some more shows. I've been working with him a lot. It's his son, Dana Carvey, and his son, Tom and Deck. So we've been doing lots of shows last year. And so stay tuned. Watch my Facebook page. But right now, I believe I booked this movie that it's a short, and one of the leads, but we'll see. I'm keeping it until the agent gets the official word.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then I just wrote another pilot that
Nice.
I'm comedy that I'm shopping and trying to get out there, where it's at some studio or production company right now, and they're reading it.
Wonderful.
And it's pretty funny. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What? Sorry.
I said that's awesome.
I have another one too that was out there, like at Lionsgate, and they wanted to do something with it, but that didn't go to the next level or the next step up. But I keep throwing hats in the ring or whatever, belt buckle. So
Yeah, Dana Carvey's father, was my father's business teacher in high school.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Carvey?
Yep, William Carvey.
Oh, I thought it was Bud Carvey. Or maybe William Bud Carvey.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Your dad's teacher?
His dad was my dad's business teacher.
Your dad, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Dana went to one of the rival schools, and he's 2 years older than my dad.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The rival school? Oh, Dana didn't go to the school that his dad taught at?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to go to school where your dad's teaching.
Yeah, some exceptions apply. Like my dad had teachers who had their sons there and stuff, but but no, Dana went to another school. My dad went to San Mateo High School, and Dana went to Carlmont.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when are you going to do stand-up again?
When I move out there, I will.
Oh, okay. Right. And how long have you been doing your podcast?
2 years. 2 years in May.
Wow, that's great. And how do you use? Is it on do you use Libsyn or whatever?
I do put it on YouTube.
Okay, but you don't use that Libsyn where they put it out on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff?
No, eventually I'll do that. I want to put I want to do like what the comedians are doing out there on camera for YouTube, and then audio for iTunes or whatever. I want to do that eventually, but
you just you have to create it into an RSS file?
Something like that, yeah.
Sign up with I think it's called Libsyn or.
Yeah, they got they got people
like 20 or 15 a month.
Yeah, they got people helping them do that too.
Oh, it's too much work, huh?
Yeah.
No, but a friend of mine who has a podcast, I think initially setting it up, but then like this, you would just upload it to, the link to that Ibsen, and then they will send it all out to iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud, or I don't know. But you set up all those accounts, but I mean, I think you could probably do it in a day or so. I don't know. And it's like I said, like 15 a month or something. So then you only have to then do it once, and then it's out there.
Have you thought about doing a podcast?
I thought about it, yeah. Well, I have in my bed with Jann Karam, it's a video, but which I'm trying to extend into podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
like kind of daily annoyances and aggravations. Yeah.
you seem like you'd be
having to talk on the phone about your career. Thanks for bringing up all the pain. I kind of hate talking about it because it's like, well, that didn't really work out either, did it? Okay.
No, you've done very well for yourself, and you're doing well for yourself now.
Yeah. Well, my heart feels good about my work, so that's you know what I mean? Like, didn't turn into a lot of money or something, or it's okay. I mean, the creative part is very fulfilling, and it doesn't feel distorted,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, I got to get back to who I was. I feel like I don't feel like that, so that's good.
That is very good. Do you have
I think, right?
Yeah.
You sound like you're in that space too.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that space.
Be true to thine own self. Be true to your school.
Yes. That's what the Beach Boys said.
What?
That's what the Beach Boys said. Be true to your school.
Exactly.
Oh my God! So you're a big fan of Randy Rhoads.
Yes. I listen to her every day. And which reminds me, I got to make a donation. I always feel bad. I listen to Democracy Now! And Randy Rhoads, and every time the thing comes up, I'm like, you know, or NPR, it's like, we're doing our fun drive. This is a fun drive. And then I'm like, oh, I can't listen to this shit. And then I change station.
I thought you were talking about the Randy Rhoads who was the guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, Randy Rhoads show.
Yeah.
You don't know Randy Rhoads?
The new one, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, how funny. That's why when I said I'm listening to Randy Rhoads, you're like, great. Say, how about 3? Because it shows from 1 to 3. It's on YouTube or on her podcast. You know, her own channel. Or
I'll check her out.
It's a pod, yeah, and you can listen to it later if you're a subscriber or a member, but I listen 1 to 3, you know, liberal views about what's going on, and she used to be on Air America and, you know, 1150, whatever that was, I forget.
Wow.
Air America, yeah. So anyway, she's good. So yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, I just like listening to her in the day. It grounds me.
I just love podcasts.
Like, what the ass? Okay, go ahead.
I just love podcasts, so I'll listen. You know, just.
What are some of your favorite podcasts?
Let's see. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. WTF with Mark Maron.
Yeah.
I love Gilbert Gottfried's podcast where he interviews all these like icons of movies and television. I cannot get enough of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing Colossal podcast. I love that one. I love the Comedy Store podcast. They're mostly comedy podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And occasionally I'll listen to like a horror movie podcast because I'm into horror movies. I'll listen to this one I listen to.
Where are you from? How come you have like a sort of a Philadelphia kind of an accent sometimes?
No, I'm not from Philly at all. Funny you say that. I interviewed a dominatrix from Philly earlier today.
Oh, okay.
But no, I'm from San Francisco, San Mateo, California.
Oh, okay.
And
right. That's what you said.
Wow, you're the first.
About your dad. Cool.
Yeah, you're the first person who's ever said I sounded like I was from Philly. Usually people think I'm from Russia.
Oh, really? How funny. Why? That's weird.
Well, I'm Croatian, and I have a Croatian last name, and my voice is very deep. I get that from my father, and he's from San Mateo also, so there's nobody from Croatia or even Russia, for that matter, in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not Russian.
No, I didn't think. I thought you were from Philly for a second. Just some of the, like, the L or the, like, you know.
I have a lisp. I spent a lot of years in speech therapy in school.
Okay, in school. Yeah.
In school.
Yeah. No, that was just the part about the Philly part. Just like the L part. But, what else? Anything else? I feel like I don't want it to lose its...
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you really. I wanted to ask you really quickly. What's your favorite joke of all time? Like,
I don't know. I don't like stuff like that. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I mean, not from your own, but just.
Like George Miller was a good friend of mine, and he passed away. He was really good friends with Dave Letterman.
Right.
Letterman inspired George Miller.
Yeah.
So he was his hero, champion. And one of the jokes that he did was, those painkillers, you could take those over the counter. Oh, I had to take some painkillers from my backache. He says, 1 will take the pain away, 5 will make you more peaceful. Right? And the thing about it is, like, it was true because he would take like Misomas or whatever, Percocet, and then he'd be on the phone all night. And so it's like so funny. 1 will take the pain away, 5 will make you call people. It's just like so subtle and inside, and anyway. And then another one of his jokes was, why are people? Oh, he would do commercials, and he goes, like, why Anyway, that's just one of, like, whenever I think of his jokes, there's more, but I just love saying those jokes. One will take the pain away, five will make you call people.
Is it true George Miller was obsessed with Leave It to Beaver?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I heard Gallagher say.
His other friends would know that.
Yeah, I heard Gallagher say once.
George Miller got me on David Letterman's show because of him. He sent my tape into Dave, and Dave said Booker.
Nice. Was that before the Tonight Show?
That was after.
Oh, after. Yeah, because I remember Gallagher said once that he went over to Letterman's apartment when they were living in Hollywood back in the late 70s, and he saw him and George Miller watching Leave It to Beaver, and then he went back like every other day after that, and they were still watching Leave It to Beaver.
Oh, that's not funny.
Yeah.
I know that's funny. Well, I'm sure that he did like to kind of sit around and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. So, any other questions? Or?
No, Jann, I just want to thank you so much for finally taking the time to do this today. This was amazing. You're very sweet. You're very smart and insightful, and I enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, that's so nice. Thanks. Thanks for being patient, too, with my hectic schedule and trying to nail something down. Today, I just said, you said hi, and I was even thinking about even reaching out to you and go, can you do today? Let's just, like, grab an hour. And, I mean, if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, I don't need to hang up, but, I mean, I'm sure, it's a long enough session, but it's up to you. I do start charging, though, once we hit an hour and 15. It goes into double time. No, I'm kidding. Like, you're serious, right? And I do accept PayPal. I'm not set up for Venmo yet, but I can set it up if needed. To send the $22, the overtime. I'm joking. But Tommy, no, seriously, is there anything else you want to know, or anything else you want to talk about?
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
Oh, it's an innie.
Nice.
But I do keep the lint out of it.
I do too.
Okay, good. Good to know. That's as personal as I get. You know me, I'm a clean comic.
Yes, you are, and
that's the thing about New York is everybody was for the most part, everybody was pretty clean, and they were all like joke writers, and the joke was the thing, and that's the kind of education or training ground that I wanted, so that the jokes were clever and smart, and not that it wasn't, not that there weren't dirty comics, but there were a lot of, really great writers.
New York is definitely different than California comedy.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't come out here, but my intuition drew me there. I mean, I've been there, and I met some California comics, not that, but I just felt like the right place for me to go for my, early training and influence, and that, watching the craft and learning it, joke writing and joke telling, and anyway, yeah.
Yes. Well, Jann, thank you so much.
Okay.
And I hope you have yourself the most fabulous night.
Oh, thank you. You too. I appreciate it. It was really fun talking to you. I can't wait to listen to this, although I won't because I'll cringe. No, you're a delightful host.
Oh, thank you. And
it's really easy talking to you. It felt like a phone conversation. Or it's being recorded. Oh, my God. What did I say?
And by the way,
voice is raspy today, too.
I'm coming out to LA for a week next month. If you have any shows or anything, let me know.
Yeah, well, just send me a message on or text me or Facebook or whatever. For sure, I'll let you know. And if you end up being anywhere where you're performing, let me know.
Fabulous. I'm coming to town for a horror convention, but I'll be there on.
How funny!
I'll be there for other days as well. Besides the horror convention, so I will definitely let you know.
we nailed it down.
Yes.
Enjoyed it.
My pleasure. Okay. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone. I hope everyone hears this and enjoys it. Okay, bye.
Bye, Jann.
Okay, bye. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye. Well, there you have it. Jann Karam. Ain't she a sweetheart? Yes, she is. Jann Karam, we finally got to do this after almost a year-long wait, and it was worth the wait. You are a funny, insightful, intelligent woman, like I said, and a sweet lady, and you will continue accomplishing your goals, and I will see you in LA. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Oh, and by the way, happy International Women's Day. And later, dudes.